Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about my process for creating my comic in Procreate, and I'm going to show you around my file and talk about how I kept everything organized. So first thing I did was just create this layout in Photoshop because I knew that this comic was intended to be printed in a zine. So I knew that I needed to get like my margin and my gutter line and just everything nice and consistent and the correct size to be printed on the paper. So just made this in Photoshop and imported it, and I have it here. It's called Layout. So the first thing I did to make this comic was just kind of brainstormed for a while. It wasn't really like gonna be much of a story or anything, you know. I was just kind of thinking of it as more like a series of different images and places and feelings. So you can see my list of the things I wanted to include, just thinking about my recent experience in the past couple months riding my bike more after all the changes in my life and stuff. So thinking about it this way, and also just really not feeling like up to drawing it out as like a, you know, how you'd kind of do traditionally, like just do a sketchy outline of the whole thing and then go back in and refine that. I couldn't do that, you know, mentally. You know, everything's really hard right now. So it was really helpful to create it and Procreate like this because I have so much freedom to move things around and combine things and eventually get it all together as the whole thing, you know. So hiding my notes layer, and then the way I organize this is, you can see I have the pages split into groups. So press this arrow to expand the group here and do the checkbox to turn on visibility. I'm going to turn off the layout layer 2. And so here's the first 2 pages. And as you can see in my layers here, I don't have everything visible. Like here's a photo that I traced, which I love the ability to do that on the iPad. Just wanted to like not have to spend too much time staring at these 4 or 5 bikes hanging on the wall in my garage. And then underneath that, we have this inserted image that looks a little different than the other ones. It has the white background. This one I actually just drew on paper because, you know, this whole project just felt kind of scattered, and I just did what I could in little chunks, and I just wanted to draw in pencil that day. And so I scanned it, cleaned up the levels a little bit in Photoshop so that, you know, it had a pure white background. And then the way I made it so that the white background doesn't show is I made the layer settings multiply, which, you know, wouldn't really matter. Like I could have it behind everything, but that just makes it so much easier. If you have your layer set to multiply, that means that the white will be transparent. So that's how I put that in. And for all this text that I wrote, I also have this lines layer. It's just, it's like a printable journal page I found on Google or something, but it really makes a big difference with handwritten text like this if it's level. So I would just, you know, turn these lines on and off as I was writing. So there's my first page. And in case you're wondering, the way to create an expandable group of layers like this, which, you know, I could not have done this project the way I did without this capability, is you swipe to, not the right, swipe to the right, and swiping to the right on the layers allows you to select multiple ones, and then it gives you the option to group in the upper right. So that's how I did that. Page 2 and 3. The first drawing of me on my bike, I actually did that one in a whole other file because it's pretty, let's see, where is she? It's pretty involved, and I didn't want to be constrained into that little page area in the comic file, so I just made a new file for this, 300 by 2400 pixels, 10 by 8 inch. That's the preset I use, and then 300 DPI. This one has another little tracing secret. You know, drawing bikes is time consuming. Look at this cute pic of me. So I'll turn down the opacity a little bit more on this reference so you can see. Trace the bike first, and looks like I shifted it a little, but there you can see, just to get the general proportions and stuff. Added a little more detail. Wasn't like super strict on the layers with this one about like having the plants and stuff on a different layer, because that doesn't really matter. But then also for some reason I created this layer for more plants. You know, it's just, I'm just kind of fluid with layers and when I feel like I need a new one. And then so I wanted to draw myself riding, which I didn't really have a traceable thing, so I have this sketch layer, and I'll turn the photo off so you could see it a little better, turn the opacity up. So I sketched her out in blue first, so that when I went over it with the darker pencil color, I could really see like what was the sketch, what was the pencil. So here's her that I traced over that. And a cool thing that I like to do when I have a sketch layer like this is I have this layer on top of it, and it's a clipping mask, and it's clipped over the sketch layer, and it's just filled with this like dark gray color. And then when I turn that on, you see that it colors in the lines of the sketch with that dark gray color instead of the blue. And then I turn down the opacity on the sketch, and it just gives it that like hand-drawn pencil feel to have the little sketchy lines underneath it. So I drew this one in here, and I did probably, how did I do this? It's like copy canvas in the add actions. And then I just went back to my comic file. Same thing with this one of me putting the headphones in, and dropped it in there as its own layer. This little bunny rabbit in the corner, that's actually the first thing that I drew for this whole project. I think I had seen like 2 cottontails on my previous 2 rides, and yep, that was the first little drawing I did for this. Anything else in this group to show you guys? Here's another thing that I traced, this bridge action, and you can see like it started over here, so I traced it there, but then I ended up moving this drawing over to like this panel, so it just shows like how useful it is to like build something like this and rearrange as you go. And then final 2 pages. This is the other one that I drew in pencil. I started it in Procreate and just like wanted to get like just that pencil, the analog vibe, you know, and it just feels different to draw stuff on paper. So yeah, scan that one too. And I did add a little bit of Procreate pencil into there just to make it kind of like fit the dimensions a little better. And then definitely did some photo tracing for these bridge moments, which I thought were going to be on this page, but you can see I moved them to the other page. Another little trick that I did on this page, kind of hard to show you now because I merged it into its own layer, but I drew the first foot, and I mean you can kind of tell because they're pretty symmetrical. I did edit a little to make it not so obvious, but I drew the left foot, took my selection tool, lassoed around it, 3-finger swipe down, copy and paste, flip horizontally, and that's how I got the other foot. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. You can see my layers here, just kind of see how I organized it all. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Bye.